the question is, I mean, is it a mandate on the homeowners as to hook up, and can they hook up to sewer and water, both, one or the other? How is that going to work?
Yeah, so the latest is every property abutting Route 6 is going to get a water and sewer service extended to the property line.
Okay.
And then they don't have to connect, there's no forcing, but there's going to be betterments, which the town is working on, where basically you're going to get charged a bill, a certain amount of the project cost is going to get covered by the individual abutters on Route 6. So they don't have to use that connection, but they're still going to get a charge either way. And the town's trying their best to minimize that cost to property owners.
And again, not to speak out, but one of those costs was not to charge them for the water hookups.
Yes, correct. Yes,
Correct.
so the betterment would just be
For the sewer
cost.
hookups.
Okay. I mean, that makes more sense, because if you only hooked up with sewer and not water, then technically you're moving all of our water that recharges through our septic systems away. And at the end of the day, probably draining some of these wells because you're not recharging with natural, septics. Okay. What's the time frame for the construction, obviously? Do you know the process on that?
Yeah, so we're going out to bid, we're going to advertise bids tomorrow. If it passes the debt exclusion vote and town meeting, then it could start, sometime this year, as early as, potentially this summer. If not, I think it's still a little bit up in the air, and it's possible the water main portion could get constructed before sewer, if there's grant funds available, which seems
But wouldn't they both go
might
in? Wouldn't it make sense for them to both go in at the same time, though?
It would, yes, it would make it easier, but
Okay.
it's just a possibility. We don't know yet at this point.
And how long is a project from the beginning of construction phase to the end? Do you guys have any ideas how long it would take to run that length of Route 6?
We estimated maybe like 18 months. A lot of it is like pump station lead times and take a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
18 months for phase one or the whole line?
That would be for everything.
No.
It might be more than that if, like, to get everything online, but I'd say like the majority of the construction could be done in that time frame.
Okay.
Is it designed to only take up one lane at a time? Like eastbound lane, it's 2 lanes each way. Will the work be done in one lane and still maintain traffic flow on the other side, or we'll have to bump it over?
Yeah, so it's possible in portions they might only take up one lane, one traffic lane in one direction, but there's likely going to be portions where they're just going to close 2 lanes in one direction and put all traffic onto the other side, 1 lane in each direction.
You're not using the business model from the Washington Bridge project, are you? just making sure.
Well, you don't know that.
Anything else?
Does this, to the chair, does this include any exterior connections off of the main route, or this is just the immediate residences? So is there a certain distance from Route 6 this will tie into? Or all properties abutting Route 6?
Yeah, for the moment, this project that's in these drawings is
And then
just-
there'll be stubs put in at each side street for future connections?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Because they're surveying on Gifford Road by Macomber, right? Is it going to connect
This is a
there?
separate, that is a separate project.
Okay.
That is the waterline loop that is currently being,
There.
through a separate grant application for federal monies because of PFAS in the well system.
That's a
and
difference.
This was another discussion the selectmen had, so that is a separate project. That one seems to be moving forward. I don't think it needs town meeting. I'm not sure, but I don't know if Alex even knows on that one, so I don't want to speak on it, except that one appears to be different than this one.
I
That
think
is
that's
like,
grant money. so
that's
it
a
doesn't-
well in need, or they're calling it, because of the,
Does it go up Gifford or just that loop you're
it's
saying?
doing a loop, Gifford, down Osborne, back to Route 6.
Okay.
Which it's already in Route 6 to the elderly housing, so this
Okay.
would be like a loop
From, yeah.
coming off of that dead end that exists just past the elderly housing. That's all I have, Mr.
So
Chairman.
this current plan is just the Route 6 corridor? Nothing's been proposed for any of the side roads?
No. No.
What's the cost hookup per homeowner? Have they decided that, or what it would be from the property line to, for the end line to into their home?
Yeah, so the goal is to try to keep single-family residential house to around 10,000 as the betterment cost. And then it gets scaled up if you have multiple residential units, and for commercial units, it's based mostly on the developable area. And it's, a multiple of that 10,000 depending on how large the lot is.
And you said there will be funding for that 10K hookup to help with homeowners on that, and they have the choice on that, correct?
So they don't have to hook up, there's no mandate, but they get charged that 10,000 either way. And it can be over 20 years they can pay, it doesn't have to be like right up front.
Okay. So they're gonna get charged either way if they hook up or not?
Yes.
Yeah,
Because as I understand it,
It's a funding source.
right, but I mean, the other residents, in the town are also going to, who won't get the benefit of it, will also need to contribute in order for the project to move forward. So,
Through their property taxes, all right, essentially.
I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but that's how I assume. So,
It's a debt exclusion.
It's a debt exclusion.
Yeah, but
so-
everything
so-
becomes a
so
debt
it-
exclusion,
right, so
unfortunately. I
it's
mean, you
contributed
can't
to
just
by
make everything
all.
a debt exclusion and just think you're printing money like the federal government.
Well, no, we
I mean,
understand that.
Can the, whoever wins the bid, can the tie-in costs be negotiated? Like the town negotiated the electricity consortium, can there be any, this is gonna be a big hit for a lot of people. There are gonna be a lot of people that have, the taxes go way up and they're paying 10,000 whether they like it or not. It's a big hit. Is there anything that can be done in the bidding process to help offset some of that cost?
well.
Or not in the bidding process, but in the whoever wins the bid.
Yeah, so the 10,000 number is based on our cost estimate for what the total project's gonna cost, and, subtracting out any grant money, subtracting out the water main cost. So if we get lower bids, or if the low bid is below our estimate, which we try to make it that way, then it could be a little less than 10,000, but it's probably going to be much less, maybe we're talking like 8,000. And it depends, I think the latest from the town warrant article related to this is that we're just locking in a percentage of the total project costs that gets paid by betterments, which was gonna be approximately 80, or 20/80, so 20% is to the individual property owners and 80 would get spread out townwide.
So, again, environmentally, this project is a betterment for the area, and it is, again, contained within the Route 6 traveled way, except some work in the median. So I think this is not going to be an adverse effect to the resource areas. And given Mass DOT also has conditions, I think we would be fully protected by approving this request tonight.
My problem is that you have people that live up there that have probably spent money on septic systems in the past year or two to the tune of $20,000 to $40,000, and now they're gonna get hit with a $10,000 charge on top of what they spent to become compliant. That's outside of our scope, but I just think that it's
Yes.
unfortunate for those people.
That is something that has become a contention, correct, so.
Or if they don't wanna hook up at all, if they like their well water, I can't stand the taste of Florida water. I'd rather I'd rather drink my well water than Florida water.
And what's the long-term plan? 'Cause we spend 35 million for the current trunk. And then that doesn't really address many residents. There's gonna be a bunch of used car lots and small businesses that don't use a lot of water anyway. Then what's gonna be the funding source for all of the other pipes and all the other site work that's gonna be done? All those side streets and all the neighborhoods? Because these people are gonna pay, taxes go up, they pay the 10,000 tie-in, and is there gonna be another debt exclusion 2 years from now to fund another phase of the project?
I'll leave it up to the town, I won't speak for them, but I would say, this grant money potentially for this Gifford Osborne water main loop, and, it could be town projects, it could be, some of the side streets, if they're smaller, it's gonna be lower construction costs, so it might be more of a cost that gets paid by the individual owners. But the Route 6 trunk line's designed with the capacity to support all these future extensions.
Correct. Thank you, Alex. So I suggest that you propose people to get to town meeting.
So, we do have someone in the audience that would like to.
Well, I don't have an official role in this, but Mike Sullivan, and speaking as the president of the Westport River Watershed Alliance, I have become acquainted with some of the facts that I could help out with. So the betterment, the targeted betterment cost of $8,000 to $10,000 for this project represents, as the gentleman just said, a 20% share of the cost. Now this is a huge piece of infrastructure, and if you were just going to tie in those 200 businesses and probably 25 maybe homes or 30 homes, I think, if you were going to tie those into a sewer system, you wouldn't be putting this in. This is for the whole betterment of it's an infrastructure piece for the whole of the north end. But we can't really chase, as a town, we can't chase after funding opportunities to do the neighborhoods, which is really the bigger piece, as far as trying to capture more wells that are contaminated and capture more sewage. We really can't chase after those funding opportunities until we have this piece of infrastructure in place. We've already failed in a couple of places trying to get grants. So we were talking earlier about the Macomber Loop. You can't do that without putting this trunk line in. So it's a very expensive piece of infrastructure that the homeowners or the business owners, the vast majority of cases, are going to shoulder 20% of the cost, and the town's going to shoulder 80% of the cost. Now, they're also, as my understanding, they're also going to be pursuing funding and grants to try to knock that down. But they got to get the go-ahead to put this piece in. So it's a big project, and probably the biggest reason it's resurfaced as a possibility for Westport is that we have this looming state obligations or regulations that we may have to put in place. Now, as you mentioned earlier, we kind of skated on that, and the DEP is focused on the Cape, and that's where they're actually forcing individual, the whole town to put in sewage or individual septic systems that address nitrogen. The arc of this thing is that eventually that's going to come here. There's going to be some mandate. I don't know what it's going to be. But this is kind of a cost-effective way to try to address those future mandates. So it's more than just the 200 businesses. It is for now, but it's a big piece of infrastructure that's the start, and it's the spine of what will hopefully be a more comprehensive project going down the road.
Thanks. It's just, it's a different type of vote, because we usually vote on projects that individuals come to us with, where they are willingly spending money to upgrade their septics or build a garage or do whatever they're gonna do. We don't usually vote on an issue that forces people to spend money whether they want to or not. It's just a different type of issue for us.
Oh, you mean not us as a conservation commission, you mean us as a town?
No, well, and us as a commission as well, we usually vote on an individual's project. Here we're voting on an issue that affects lots of people, some of whom may not want this.
Well, that-
Right,
It's
but
just,
we're,
it just warrants more discussion, I guess my point is.
right. But we're only addressing the issues that were within our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
And that's not the entire.
it's not right,
Right.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
we're not,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
but, I agree with what Mr. Sullivan said, which this is an investment that you have to decide whether or not, if you want it to pay off for the town, in the long run. And so, because it's not gonna get any cheaper down the road. And there are a lot of contaminated wells, in that area, which can be addressed by this. And will also reduce the highest concentrations of nitrogen are in the north end of the East Branch, which this project will reduce and put us in a very good position, inevitably when DEP returns, I believe, because there was a lawsuit that forced them to address this. That lawsuit is not going to go away. And it's federal and state statutes that are requiring them to do it, so it's not going to be discretionary on their part. And I think we would position ourselves very well than having to come back and everybody in the town either put in their own individual upgraded septic system, or we would be facing the same cost structure now, except without having, with having to address inflation and other issues and a timetable that we would lose control over. So, but that's a policy issue. Although you haven't asked for it, I will
Yeah.
move to approve the sewer and water main and the associated connections with the Route 6 sewer and water project.
So so we have a motion.
I have I made the motion.
I don't want any more discussion before we. Okay. We have a second?
I second
Okay. Those in favor?
it.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Everyone's in favor except Jake is opposed. Alex, have they studied, or have you, or has anyone studied, the PFAS levels in the North Watuppa versus the contaminated wells in Westport? Like, are those forever plastics coming, are they in the reservoir, or any more or less so than individual wells? Has that been looked into?
Yeah, I've taken a look. I mean, there's pretty much going to be a small amount wherever you look, almost. So there are low levels in North Watuppa. Like, you can look up on the Fall River, their water quality report, but they're lower than some of the levels that we're seeing, around Route 6. There's been a couple that have had fairly high hits for PFAS. So, yeah.
In the North Watuppa levels, do those come from rainwater? Do they come from the old landfill that they capped? Where do you? How does it get into the pond?
It can be, it can be from rainfall, it can be in the groundwater. Big source is like firefighting foam, and just
Yeah.
have it. Yeah.
Okay.
Just say, I've been in some communication with the DEP program, and there are things are moving on this, but in terms of Route 6, I understood there were like 2 businesses and a few households that had levels of PFAS above the threshold. The threshold is 20 billionths, 20 billionths of a milligram per liter. You need really minute concentrations, and it's a chemical that's just ubiquitous in, so many products, things we put on our skin, things we wear, things we live with. So everything that you might wash will could end up in the groundwater, or it could coming off the streets, down, same way through rainwater. So.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Alex, thank you for your explanation, appreciate it.
So what do we have on that one?
If you got Maloof here, run back in.
that's-
Then you got Nancy Pacheco
No, but is this the,
and Mikey Sullivan.
Town of Westport? Yeah, here it is, okay. Yeah. Did someone meet you?
Yeah, I
That
was
was,
halfway.
that was quick, yeah. No, literally.
And the speed limit the whole way.
That was a good one. We don't need him.
Thank you for your travels.
No problem, I did my best.
I would have tried to, but we can't open the hearing without him. I know
Okay.
you've done everything in order, so thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I think most people, you can just announce your name for the record, and that would be fine.
Robert McCall?
Mr. McAuliffe is here again. He is an each lot owner. He actually owns 2 lots, 138 and 165 East Beach Road. This is his notice of intent for both those lots. March 6, 2024 is the date of the report. The file number is pending. Site visit was on March 5th, 2024. The applicant has filed for 2 lots they own on East Beach Road. The lots are located on both sides of East Beach. The owner has sent Natural Heritage and Endangered Species a copy of the Oceanside parcel, 138 East Beach Road. The grading of the lots is requested to move cobble from the winter storms. The owner must provide a sample of beach nourishment to the office prior to placing on either lot. The Oceanside parcel, no placement of beach nourishment is within 10 feet of mean high water, of which should be approved by the office. This is a barrier beach, land subject to coastal storm flowage, coastal dunes, salt marsh, and riverfront project. The Westport Conservation should approve the request with special conditions. The sample provided to the office, placement of material must be 10 feet away from mean high water, and this would be pending the file number and Natural Heritage Endangered Species final comments, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Great. Any questions or discussion? No? If not, looking for a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Jake and Bert. Those in favor? Opposed? Okay.
Thank you again. Hopefully we'll get that file number sooner than later.
Right. Thank you guys, thanks for working, we appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Oh, Nancy Pacheco, Mr.
Yep.
Chairman.
Okay.
They've been waiting patiently.
Nancy Pacheco, 25 East Beach Road.
Nancy Pacheco, 25.
Do you have the return receipts?
You do. Tony
I-
gave them to you.
That's right, I already have them in the file, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Nancy Pacheco, again, representing herself at 25 East Beach Road. This is a let side property further towards the east end of East Beach, just shy of the town's properties on that side. This is a notice of intent application. Report date is February 23rd, 2024. This is pending file number. The site visit was also on February 23rd, 2024. Description of the work: the owner has filed to regrade the lot after the storms in December and January. The lot grading is needed to allow trailer access onto the property. If beach nourishment is required, it will require a sample provided to the office for approval before placing on the lot. The beach nourishment must be of similar grain size as existing. In this case, the file number is pending issuance as well. Resource areas, well, I put my recommendation there at resource areas. That's a mess up. Westport Conservation should approve pending file number issuance with the condition that a sample of beach nourishment be provided to the office before placing on the lot. So I would call this approval with standard conditions for 25 East Beach Road.
Any questions or discussion? If not, a motion?
I move we approve pending file issuance, the condition that simple beach nourishment must be provided to the office.
Thank you.
Second.
That's
Tom.
good. And Tom?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I hope you got a lesson. Did you enjoy it?
I was riveted.
Yeah, you'll
So
never,
are all the viewers.
you'll never file again. Thank you, guys.
So we just have to wait for that,
Yes, and I will be mailing you the final document. I'll call you so you guys can come pick it up. All right?
Perfect. Thanks, Chris.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
take care.
Thank you.
Good
All
night.
right, we got R. Michael Sullivan, notice of intent, 149 Sherry Webb Lane, construct a garage in a barrier beach and coastal dune.
Good evening. I'm Michael
Who are you?
Sullivan. I'm Michael Sullivan, 149 Cherry Webb Lane. I think you all have received a report that we want to put up a single-car garage. It's a hydraulically helical-driven, pile-supported structure. It's attached garage. It's going to have, because it's in the potential fault, it's in a floodplain under 12 feet. It'll have these vents on the side. I can't remember the name of the vents, but they basically allow the water to come and go.
Yep.
And this is will be constructed on an existing driveway. Gravel.
Members, Mike Sullivan, 149 Terringham Lane, notice of intent. He does have a plan filed by Schneider, DeVignan, and Leone for his property. The date of the report is February 23rd, 2024. There is a file number with no adverse comments. It's SC 802723. Site visit was also on February 23rd, 2024. A description of work, the owner has filed to construct a 14 by 24 single-stall garage in a flood zone. This actually would be an A zone. The proposed location is along Cherry-Webb Lane and will have a pea-stone pervious surface installed to allow access from the road. The roof runoff will be diverted into a dry well to limit any runoff. The structure must meet mass building requirements for flood-prone areas. As Mr. Sullivan mentioned, that includes the vent openings of certain size and dimensions that will be required per those regulations. Those are just, as he mentioned, to allow, if the water does come to that point, it allows it to come in and go out and not cause that structure to be ruptured or float in such a manner. Recommendations, Westport Conservation Commission should approve the 14 by 24 single-stall garage with pervious driveway surface and roof runoff directed to discharge below grade, and the building must meet mass building requirements for flood-prone areas.
Are those louvers, are they?
Yeah, they're kind of like a louvered system,
You
exactly.
actively open them or?
No, the water automatically can push in, right.
I think they also were to keep it from diverting it onto neighbor's property.
Yes,
So it's as if the building isn't there
correct. It doesn't
That's part of the
displace,
idea.
yes.
of it, so that it moves in the same direction it is rather than pushing it someplace else.
Yeah. I was thinking more of like, mice getting in the louvers if they, if they can. They get in a garage, believe me.
Sure.
Yeah. There's no more discussion, then a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's Jake and Kevin. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's unanimous.
Thank you, folks.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Lost my agenda.
Let's see.
Here it is.
Mike Sullivan, and we got
So we have two extensions following there.
Okay, so we've got Glen Reed, 144 East Beach Road. This is for an extension?
Correct. Glenn Reed is former Sistari property. He purchased this from West Beach, 144 West Beach Road, about 2.5 years ago. He is renewing this permit, file number SC 802345. Mr. Reed is requesting an extension of that order of conditions for 3 years. The request is in order. It has been filed in accordance with the regulations. Westport Conservation should approve the 3-year extension to file number SC 802345 for 3 more years, and that is for Glen Reed, 144 East Beach Road.
Okay, any discussion? If not, a motion?
Move to approve the 3-year extension.
I second it.
Phil and Bert, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's unanimous. You know? I'm going to pass that around.
Please do.
We do. Let's see.
Then the next one
Is
is,
that West Beach Road or East Beach Road or what is that?
It was on the agenda listed as West Beach, but on this form it was East Beach Road, so I'm not.
no, it's West Beach Road is Glen Reed. Did I put East Beach?
Yeah, it
It's
says
West
it.
Beach. It's West Beach Road as it is on the
Do
agenda.
we have I don't have a folder on that one.
On what
Thank
one?
you.
Nancy Couture?
That's, Borough.
Let me see.
Brault's right there.
No,
You don't have Glen Reed?
no,
Yeah, you do. You just shuffled it around in your madness.
no, I don't think so.
No?
This is deed system.
Yeah.
Do we have a deed system?
I didn't see that.
Sullivan.
That's Sullivan, Town of Westport.
I think this is the wrong folder.
Yeah, I think, Chris, you may have grabbed this one instead of,
This says West Beach Road, so you grabbed the wrong one.
It says Sistari, right?
Yeah, but this is
Yeah.
Glen Reed.
It's Sistari. We haven't
Oh.
changed the name because the guy just bought it.
Okay.
So that is the file. I didn't mention that in the beginning.
why did I figure that out?
I forgot to say, Sistari was the previous owner. It will say Glen Reed now.
Also known as Glen Reed.
Yes.
I should have known.
No, you may not know.
This is a test.
We just been here too long.
Yeah.
You guys will catch on.
We haven't even got to an hour yet.
No, I'm saying we've been here long enough to know who Sistari is respectively and Glen Reed, and just because I know what they own by now, hearing their complaints and concerns.
All right, so then we're on to,
Nancy Couture,
all right, Nancy Couture / Brault.
141 East Beach Road.
Beach Road, this is another extension.
Correct,
request.
Mr. Chairman. Mrs. Couture and Pauline Brault are co-owners of this property. They're requesting extension for file number SE 802316. The Westport should approve the issuance of, wow, this isn't even, that's Nancy Pacheco, Chris. That's not
Making fun of
mine.
us over here.
Oh,
No, I'm messed up.
Oh, Mr. Capone.
I can be confused too.
Do you need it here?
Wow, I made, yeah, that'd help. I went through everyone I got.
No problem.
we'd go to a break, but no one will buy our ad space.
Please stand by.
No one will buy it.
That is so funny because I've been streaming, watching those stupid commercials over and over again. The same thing, the silly music. Nancy Couture, Pauline Brault, 141 East Beach Road. This is an extension for 3 years to file number SE 802316. The owner has filed a request for a 3-year extension to the order, SE 802316. The extension is in order. Again, this is a beach lot with grading and what nourishment may be required. Westport Conservation Commission should grant a 3-year extension to file number SE 802316 for 3 years. That is all, Mr. Chairman.
All right, any questions or discussion? If not, a motion.
I move we grant the 3-year extension.
Second?
Bert and Phil, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
That concludes our agenda items.
Okay, so now we've got, you have anything unanticipated?
No, I do not.
No?
Chris, for the dredging project, did they outline where they're gonna dredge?
No. I can try, I know Jake had mentioned he saw some mapping of that, but I am not sure where the dredging area.
So they know
in-
how much they approved how much they're gonna take out, but they don't know where they're taking it from?
No, they know where it is, just what you saw was correspondence of their review of the application. So I never got the formal application. I
Yeah.
only sent that correspondence of their DMF and where the offshore materials were going.
Okay.
I can get you a I know you did mention you were
Yeah.
looking for, but I would assume.
curious.
It is the main section of channel somewhere from Spindle Rock
So
to
you think
the
they're
mouth of the
gonna,
river.
they're gonna use the old, they're gonna open up the old?
They're gonna make the channel adequate for depth, basically. I know
Yeah.
that they're having trouble with it shoaling in and shoaling in, and
Okay.
they're having some arguments, for the record, with the Coast Guard always being coming in when a ship runs aground, and so the Coast Guard is kinda at the point now where if it's unsafe for navigation, we're gonna shut it down. So you need to make measures to make this safe. You can't keep calling us every time someone runs aground, because we only go there to move the buoy markers when there is adequate water.
Correct.
So he says that now they're running into some, so now it's being laid out what is what. So I think that is where they're running into problems. A fishing boat will come in at low tide and run aground and get stranded, or run drag bottom, and I know some sailboats have been having trouble with their long keels, so.
Yep.
This is just in respect to making a navigable channel
Okay.
accessible
Okay.
for its use as a fishing port as well as a recreation port. So I will get you more details on the approximate.
Yeah.
I think I can send it around if I have it.
Yeah,
think
because I know
have it.
you had said you saw it, and I never saw the initial application.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't been submitted to us, it should go through some review. How it comes to us maybe through the Army Corps' approvals, but I have not seen the formal application, for the record.
I've got the dredging notice, whatever. I'll forward it around to everybody, because that's the only place I saw the location of the sand, which
Right.
is off a Horse Neck.
Right.
Not too far off, a couple 100 feet, and then it's like a.
Yeah, I know it's
Yep.
more than a couple 100 feet, I think, because they need to go in there with a dredge that's gonna be able to not run aground, so
Yeah.
they probably have to be, I'd say 500 to 1,000 feet off of the beach, just to make it safe water for them. But it's gonna be amusing, because as they dump the sand, I figured they'd be making it shallower for themselves.
Well, it's all gonna end up right back. See, yeah, see, here's they don't necessarily say it. I got the notice, so I'll forward it to the whole.
Yeah, I saw
We were very optimistic, it ends up back on Horse Neck.
But it just didn't point out what they're gonna,
Yeah, it's not very specific.
no, it's
It's
very.
just like a line through the channel. That's not, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know how they cut it off, Kevin, who is calculating the overall amounts. I'm sure there is some way for the contractor to make sure if there's a change order, that he is compensated for it. So there is some mechanism to estimate the amount of cubic yardage that is being and has been removed.
It looks like they go pretty far out onto the sandbar from the Cherry Web.
Well, they may be making it extend, as they did to the left of Shiprock there, just to make sure that they can get
That's
that,
the-
so they're not running aground. I know when they went towards the Noble, they kept hitting
Yes, on the right is
ledge,
the dredging.
and they couldn't get it deep enough.
That's not very
Wouldn't it-
specific, but.
I mean, nature carved out the current new channel. Wouldn't it make sense to dredge what nature has
It
sort
goes
of
pretty
already
close to the Noble.
created?
It goes really far.
I can't speak to that, nor am I aware of what the
That's-
ultimate dredging
That's
is.
where the sand's going.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's for another day. You know,
It's 12 feet deep now and 100 feet across now, the new channel.
Yeah,
It's deep.
The reason offered to go back to the old channel is that the old channel, many years ago, was dredged to a depth. They removed rock. And they know if they dredge that channel again, they won't be hitting rock. Whereas if they go deeper on the new channel, they could be hitting rock. That was what I was told.
that makes sense.
So
Okay.
you're hearing it is the old
It is
existing.
going to be the old channel.
Bingo. Gotcha.
That's what Mr. Carter wanted to hear. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Mr. Sullivan's a handsome man.
Not really, I like the new channel.
get all the answers.
Associate,
Yeah.
Associate Member Michael
Yeah,
Sullivan.
jeez. Any
Anything
other
else, Mike?
questions for Mr.
Anything
Sullivan?
Nice.
What?
Emeritus.
Okay, so we've got the meetings from February 27th. Present were, Paul is not here tonight, me, Kevin, yeah, so everyone's here except Merchant was not here, Tom was not here. So,
One, two,
any
three.
changes or additions to the minutes?
Motion to approve, if we can do it.
Second?
Okay, that's Kevin and Jake. In favor? Oh, Phil, I'm sorry, Phil.
Give you credit for the minute.
Yeah,
Those
exactly.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You're running
Alright.
for re-election, so you need that. All those votes.
All right, and that's just,
I'll put that as a
That's
statement.
okay, we've got a bill for postage, $450. Must be stamps, right? Motion to approve, motion to pay.
Move to pay.
Second?
Okay. In favor?
I,
Opposed?
Stamps have gone so much, so high, it costs us over $9 to mail one piece of, one auto recognition.
But if you have old stamps, they'll still honor the old stamps,
Oh, I
right?
got all the old stamps, but.
You got a black market in there?
Well,
$5.
if somebody had like containers of old stamps,
But you know, they keep coming back in fashion. I've had these
Yeah.
71-cent stamps for the
Do we sign
ages and ages. Keep them there, now they're useful, because I got 73 cents.
yeah.
So, good sense.
All right, what's this? East Bay Media Group, $369.10.
Motion to pay.
Second.
Jake and Phil, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Looking for motion to adjourn?
That, yeah,
That's it, right?
again, I don't know if any other members have anything, but I do not,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Hey, that was my suggestion.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Thanks,
Gonna
Kevin.
get out of
Jake
it.
and
Yeah,
Kevin.
could actually do that, yeah.
Very good man.
I know, pushy, pushy. It's okay.
All in favor?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?